Good evening and happy Sunday. Thank you for joining me today, the B-InPowerD movement. I am so thrilled to have Joshua Holi with me. We bringing that East Coast energy. He from Pennsylvania, but on top of the Knicks win, we're gonna claim him anyway.
Yeah, yeah. Congratulations on that.
The New York camp, that was that game was a nail biter. The whole series, this season. I can't say that I watch basketball all the time, but watching this was like paramount. Like who's not gonna watch this, right? So it was
Yeah,
so dope. But
that was incredible.
yeah, Josh is an incredible human being. He is the epitome of fight and not flight. He is the epitome of redemption, his story of redeeming himself and giving back to his community in a meaningful way, pushing his limits, just really diving in and getting to know himself and how he can take who he is and be an attribute to the people around him. And so I am honored and I thank you for being a guest today. How are you this evening?
I'm doing great. I'm honored to be here. I appreciate you having me.
No doubt, no doubt. So, I want to start out by talking a little bit about your catalyst. Before we started, I said to you, I don't believe that people are their worst moment. I don't throw babies out with bathwater. Um, and I certainly believe in the redemption story. But there was a pivotal moment that I'm sure was either I'm going to sit in the shit or I'm going to, you know, get off the pot and do something with my life. And I want you to tell us a little bit about what that was.
So my pivotal moment, I would say, happened to me when I was in prison. I went to prison at 21 or 22 years old,
Mhm.
and I did 5 years in a Pennsylvania state prison for an attempted homicide. So basically, what happened to me? I was a teenager selling drugs. I grew up in a single parent home without my father, just my mother and my sister, my grandmother. Uh, didn't have the best relationship with my family. So as a teenager, I ran away. I was selling drugs for 6 years. And that just led me down the road of getting involved with the wrong people, the wrong lifestyle. I ended up getting into a shooting at 21. I shot a man twice, went on the run for 13 months, and got caught and sentenced to 5 to 10 years. So during that time, that's when about halfway through that bid is when I started realizing I need to change my life around, and it was the beginning of that for me there.
So first of all, I want to say congratulations because um accountability, I really feel like in 2026 accountability is lacking. And you and I are both part of a community, the Prison Survivor Network, that we one of the cornerstones of the philosophy of what it is that we believe is accountability. So I congratulate you, one, on changing your life, but also because you have the courage to actually talk about, I did this, it was wrong, acknowledging it. But I also want to congratulate you on being a beacon of hope because there are a lot of people who feel like they are unable to do more, to do better, to do different after being in a situation like that. Almost taking a person's life. I mean, at the end of the day, it can mess with your head, right? Like
Of course.
it's something that there's a finality to it. And growing up the way that we did, I'm sure that you've lost friends, you've lost maybe family, or what have you. So I think that you understand that, and to take complete and total control of what happens next is commendable. Um, what did that look like for you? So halfway through your prison sentence, you figured out I need to change something. A lot of us want to change, um, but that's the long term goal, right? Like that's the big goal. And I tell everybody to get to the big landings, we have to have the smaller goals. So what did that start with you?
For me, it just started with realizing what did I want my life to look like.
Hmm.
So I didn't change anything in the beginning, but I more so looked at how do I want this to end, or how do I actually want to be. And then my first thing was habits. I knew I had time, so I had to learn how to just chip away, just like you had said about small things. I'm a huge believer in winning incrementally. So I picked small things that I could do, start to educate myself, try and acquire some physical fitness. Uh, I dove into building a relationship with God, and slowly but surely, I just started building on those habits, and the good habits helped me, just start stacking, and the goals just got bigger and bigger. But so by the time I left, I really felt like I was free before I left,
Mm.
because I knew if I got out first and then changed, that the odds of me succeeding in that were a lot less than doing it now.
That's such a dope statement. I felt free before I got out. We know what prison looks like. Many of us, know what that looks like, and it's suffocating.
Mm.
It can literally take your breath away to just be in the environment, the smell, the surroundings, the filth, the lack of care. And so to hear you say that, I think that is it demonstrates the level of mental work that you did. Um, but with that being said, we also know that being inside in a controlled environment with the number of rules that prison gives you, changing is a lot easier said than done in the same way when you get home. How did you avoid the temptations? How did you withstand, you know, what word do I want to use? The hopelessness. Now you're a convicted felon. You
Mhm.
coming home on paper. You got to get a job. You got to reacclimate into society. You went in when you said you were 22. So you came out as a fully cooked male human. You went in. You were still closer to an adolescent than anything else. And in many of your formative years now, this is your prison is your experience.
Mhm.
So what did you do when you got home to make sure that you stayed focused?
I didn't look too far ahead,
Mm.
because if I looked too far, I would lose sight of what the present was. So one of the biggest things that I remember when my time started getting short there was seeing people leave who I thought had a great chance out there, who I thought had changed. And then it'd be a month later, 2 months later, I see them back in the yard again. And I was aware of recidivism at the time. I think it was like 77% is what the stat was saying. So my biggest concern was I need to just be home and not fall into that coming back in the first year, coming back in the first 3 years. So my primary objective, although I had a career plan, and I wanted to go to school, I wanted to cultivate better friendships, I wanted love in my life at some point. My primary objective was I'm on state parole, and I know if I screw this up in any way, I'm going to be back up in the mountains the next day. So I was focused on just not violating. And to me, that looked like, let's get a job, don't fall into any drinking, and let's go to work and continue to try and be in shape and be with my family. I mean, I was really blessed to have my family when I went home. They were still there. I didn't lose any of them while I was gone.
Amen.
So I was just kind of clinging to them and a few close friends I had from my childhood.
So now you're 13 years post incarceration.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm assuming you've graduated off of parole.
Yeah, maxed out 2018.
Okay.
Um, got 2 college degrees. I got my associates and bachelor's, and now I now I work a corporate job. I help design software for a logistics company, and I create content and do what I can to give back to show people that they're able to make changes in their lives, whether they were former prisoners or they're people who just feel imprisoned mentally, spiritually, physically. And that's kind of my mission now, is just how can I help people not have to go through the same things that I went through, and still be able to make a positive impact.
You played the long game slowly. And I want to highlight that because you said my goals were to come home, not go back, be uh, uh, gainfully employed, find love, all of those things, and you've done that. You're getting married soon. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
You got your one. You are gainfully employed, and you're giving back to community. But I think the best part of your story is every day you continue to improve upon you. And you do that by stretching yourself as far as you can stretch yourself.
Mhm.
And that next stretch is 100 mile. What did you call it?
A 100 mile is
Ultra
ultra marathon. Yeah.
marathon. Let me just say that's where we part ways. Like all this East Coast energy, all of this, the camaraderie, all that good stuff. We part ways at running, and we really part ways in 100 miles. Like, how do you even find this kind of stuff?
Yeah, I lived the past 6 years or 5 years. I've lived in Philadelphia.
Mhm.
I was going through a rough time in my life in 2022. I had moved there, uh, pretty much starting my life over. I was doing a lot of drinking and, just living. I was still working really hard, but outside of work, things kind of crumbled for me. So I had found a gym. I reached out to some people that I had followed on Instagram in the city, and I said, "Look, I don't know anybody down here. I'm looking to, get myself back in shape." I linked up with this gym. There was a lot of coaches down there that were runners, and I discovered it and immediately caught a passion for it because it just puts me in a position to want to give up. And I realized I could utilize that the same way that I utilized my past traumas. So this was a big reason why people don't get to find out what they're capable of, is because they don't know their limits. And this was an opportunity for me to get in a position where I'm not hurting anybody. I'm not going through any trauma that's, causing hurt or pain to other people, where I can learn who am I when I want to give up. And those lessons is what running teaches me, but it applies to the rest of my life. I can't just turn that quality off outside of running. So when I have a problem at work, or when I have a problem in my personal life, and I want to, maybe handle my frustrations in a way I shouldn't, or, cut a friend off even though they're a good person, like, knowing that I can push myself and not quit in a run helps me not quit in life overall. And that's why I continue to do the same strategy, chip away. 3 years ago, I couldn't run a few miles, and, one became three, three became five, and now here we are 3 years later. Now I'm looking to do 100.
I still think you crazy, but I love it. Listen, if
Yeah,
you like it, I love it.
you
Um,
got to be a little out there for it. That's for sure.
well, I live in Texas now, and I damn sure ain't running out here.
Oh yeah,
But
that's different.
one thing that you said though, you still have challenges, and I want to highlight that because that's the beauty and beast of life, right? You grow, but it doesn't change the fact that we still have challenges. And I think that people see us create content, they see us have these conversations on podcasts, they see us, in our glow up, not understanding that we're still doing the work. We still do the work in community. Just this morning, we had a conversation where I was snot balling on the phone, like on a Zoom call with 8 people about the hurt that I still deal with. And I think it's important for our community to understand that, well, we're not saying that it's easy. And we're not saying that there are not setbacks, because there absolutely are. But we're saying that they're not insurmountable. And they're definitely not insurmountable when you do it in community. And I've heard you mention community twice.
Mhm.
You said you came home and you had your family, and then you said when you backslid, you went and you found your gym family, and now you found running. And I'm a really, excuse me, introverted person, and so I think a lot. Probably not even probably. I overthink, but I have those people who are able to be my checks and balances. Like I will call someone or text someone, and sometimes it'll just be like, "Yo, am I bugging? Like, am I seeing this in the way that I should be seeing it?" And those people are cyclic for a lot of us, right? They change over time.
Sure.
How do you continue to identify your community?
Man, to be honest, I put myself out there. That's the only way I can learn, is to try and share, because I know if I hide how I'm feeling, or hide, what would help me with sharing, like, it's just not going to bring any value to myself, or and I'm missing the opportunity to help someone else. So I'm a big believer in, there's nothing new under the sun. That's something that really helps me when I'm going through a problem. Uh, I, I think about this problem that, I mean, there's millions of people, billions of people in the world. This problem, millions of people have overcome this. So that's something I kind of retreat to. And just like you said, with every new level comes a new set of problems. So I'm no stranger to problems. It's something I'm really, really passionate about sharing when it comes to the process. Because, like you said, I think we get marketed that doing good is just a win, 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 win. And it's like, mine is like, we going all over the place.
Absolutely.
Um, I'm afraid all the time, but I choose to manage that fear in a different way that prevents me from giving up. And I think I was very introverted. I mean, I still am to an extent, but
Mhm.
I come to find out, I hate to retreat to a cliche, but it's like, you'll go further together.
Yeah.
And there's nothing like having those friends who are like, no, I'm not going to be a yes man to you. Like, that's a stupid idea, or like, you're blowing this out of
Right.
proportion. It's not that big of a deal. And it's
Well,
crazy
damn,
because
you ain't
sometimes,
running a week. Like, what
yeah,
you doing? You
yeah,
know?
yeah,
Absolutely. And it's so counterintuitive. I know it is for me. Like you said, I'm afraid all the time. I say it all. It's one of those cliche things that I say. Do it afraid.
yeah,
Do it
exactly.
afraid, and do it alone. And when I say alone, I don't mean without community, but we all have to take those first steps by ourselves, right? We have to resign ourselves to the fact that something needs to change. Then you go find your community. But I mean, I do so many things afraid, and I take a trip once a year for 3 weeks. This year was Morocco.
Wow.
I had the pleasure of being there for about a week with Bilal and his wife. And like I'm planning all of these things, and I'm like, we're getting on a hot air balloon, and he's like, nah, I'm not doing that. And I wore him down, Josh. I wore him down.
You got them on there?
I got him on
Oh
there.
man. All
I
right.
kept saying, I got my tickets, and I would WhatsApp him and his wife and be like, hot air balloon. The first time I did one was in Egypt, and it was that thing for me. Like, I'm gonna do this because I'm so afraid of it that um this is going to be like my one thing that I'm going to do to kind of get myself out of that fear. And I fell in love with it. I did it at sunrise.
That's epic.
And like it was over the pyramids and all of the statues and all of that stuff, and it was magnificent. And I wore them down. I kept on, and finally they agreed. The three of us did it. We did it early in the morning. We had breakfast afterwards,
It's
and
amazing.
Bilal was like, every time I go to Morocco now, I'm doing a hot air balloon. I was like,
Yeah.
man, hype for him because
Yeah. New level.
exactly. And, we got the video, we taking pictures, we got the PSN t-shirts up.
Yeah.
Like it's a whole vibe. And if I had not been brave enough to be afraid and acknowledge that fear, I would have never done it. And I would have never had the story to tell Bilal and Khalifa so they would do it. Right. And so that's the beauty of community and building up, but bringing somebody with you. And we're talking
Yeah.
about a hot air balloon ride, right? But it's so much bigger than that because I met Bilal, who lives in North Carolina, on another continent, right? With his wife, convinced him to do something he would never do. And now we have that story to share forever. Like Bilal's getting ready
Yeah.
to have a seed. And we're gonna tell that story to them. We're gonna be able to show those pictures. And Bilal, like you, reaches back inside and he talks to those who are currently incarcerated. And they they get to see those pictures.
Mm-hmm.
They get to feel and hear those
Powerful stuff.
experiences.
Yeah.
And that is the thing that brings hope, right? So I'm doing one thing and I do that one thing and I share it. And then he shares it and he shares it with people who are 8x8s. They live vicariously through him and then they come home with a hope that nobody else could have given them.
Exactly. It's a beautiful thing. And they're gonna try something.
They got
Like,
to.
they're gonna try
They
something.
got to, right? Like I'm gonna beat you down till you do it.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm gonna keep texting you. I'm gonna call you. You can't be nowhere with me. Like I was in synagogue walking with lions. I was scared out of my mind.
yeah.
You go back and you do the same thing. You give hope. You bring your story. You show your glow up. You show your pain. You don't hide your face. What does that mean to you?
It means to me it just means that I'm living in my purpose. I mean, it's kind of in my heart to do this. I really don't feel like God carried me through all this for me to just sit behind a desk and make some bread and not share it. And I was really discouraged about sharing it in the beginning because I didn't want to be the jail guy everywhere I went. Like I thought people might look at me like, oh, he's the felon that he changed and now he's doing a couple good things and he's telling people about it. I was really discouraged for years, but I just always felt like it was calling. And I think I kind of didn't look at it as a big deal. Like, all right, yeah, people make it out of jail all the time, and then they turn it around, and then I started seeing like actually there's a ton of people that don't, and there's a ton of people that never escape this. And I started seeing as I was getting older, I'm like, damn, this dude never got out of that life, or he's locked up again, and it just I could not bury that call.
Yeah.
So now I just leaned in.
And it's the mentality, right? Because there's some people who are in prison who have never been to prison. There are some
100%.
people who, we were talking about being impoverished of the mind before we started the podcast. And it's a real thing. It's a thing where you don't know anything but your 4 block radius. You don't know anything other than what you see. And there's a hopelessness in so many of our communities that allows people to take their promise to the grave with them. And I think, like, leave it all on the pavement.
Hmm.
Whatever it is that you got to give, leave it all on the pavement. And it's so sad to see hope and joy and promise be buried. We say a lot, you can't take money with you, you can't take things with you, but what you can take with you is your purpose. You can literally bury your purpose with your body. And so it's so big.
Powerful. Yeah, that's one of my biggest fears is to not live to my potential. Probably one of my biggest fears.
Yeah, and it's like the saddest thing in the world to me, where I can look at somebody and say, I saw it in you. I knew you had it, and nobody ever got to see it. And that's a poverty that, for me, far surpasses being broke. Like that is
Agreed.
a poverty that I never ever in my life want to experience. And I've lived in a community that was like that, and it was suffocating to me, because if I ever accepted a no, I wouldn't be having this conversation with
Hmm.
And so it is it's so hard for me to see people who have an inability to get past that. And so we got a few comments going on here. Mike, I'm not jumping out of a plane. Mike said I got to jump out of a plane. I try real hard to never say never, but I think I'm a never on that one. Like, jumping out of planes ain't for me. Um, what did it feel like the first day you walked back into a prison voluntarily?
uh, I felt bad, not bad internally, but I started feeling right away just bad for the people that were there
Hmm.
because it just made me remember, that battle that you fight internally every day, waking up. Like, okay, anything can happen today. Uh, and you seeing all the pain people are going through, no matter how strong these people look externally. I mean, you seeing everybody at some point at a low. People have families, they got children, they have wives, a lot of people I never thought I'd be seeing crying or crying on the phone, not coming out of the cell for days, uh, and just really torn up on themselves. So I felt bad, but I knew it was the right thing that I was doing. I just went to Philadelphia Juvenile Justice Center this week
Hmm.
and got to talk to a lot of kids, 5 different groups of kids ranging from 14 to 17. And yeah, same feeling. As soon as I got in there, I was like, damn. But well worth it. It's work I wanna do more of.
Um, Part of my career I spent in juvenile detention and adult detention. I worked in Abraxas Academy. I don't know what they call it now, but it's in Morgantown, and it was juvenile sex offenders and fire starters. Um, Lots of them had juvenile life sentences, and to see the baby face in the grown person's circumstances is really hard for me. It's really difficult to watch children stripped of childhood. And I have to say, it gave me a little bit of survivor's guilt,
Hmm.
you know, to know that some of our experiences were akin. And I figured out a way out, but they didn't. or they didn't have the support that got them out. And like you see the same faces,
Yeah.
just roll back around, and you begin to feel hopeless. At least I did. I started to feel like, damn, like, how many conversations can we have? Why don't you understand this? This is not where you want to be. You get here and you cry. You get out, you get another chance and you do it all over again. And I began to realize that it's not always what you say, but it's what you show. And that is why I'm really transparent about my story. And I think that you are too. It is, it's like the lighthouse, it's the thing that people can actually see. We used to say, uh, don't do what I don't what is it? Do what I say, don't do as I do.
Hmm. Yeah.
Have to kind of change that mentality, right? Like, I need you to do what I do, which means I now need to be doing right, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be the example, then I gotta be the example. Did you experience any survivor's guilt?
To an extent, yeah. I think I didn't. It didn't. I tried to just counteract that thought with,
Mm-hmm.
I got a mission now, and I, that helped me deal with it. But yeah, it's hard not to think about. I mean, I even had trouble after I got out. I had trouble just maintaining communication with people in there because I almost felt like I need to really be away from this,
Mm-hmm.
like, and tuned out of it to move on. And they understood that.
Mm-hmm.
They understood that. So it's crazy. There's days now that, and I'm not saying this is the healthiest thing, but there's days I wake up now and I'm like, I can't believe I even went through that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I just feel so far removed from who I was, but not far enough that I've lost my ability to communicate to that group. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and that's another thing I really work on is I don't want to become that person who made it out of something and now is, when I try to talk about it, I'm talking about it at this with
Mm-hmm.
this delivery that is not reaching the people that it really needs to reach. Yeah, it'll reach some, like, you know, some views on social media, and it'll get comments and likes, and maybe it could get me some partnerships, but that's, if it's not really helping the core audience, then you know I feel like,
Absolutely, it has to be authentic.
yeah.
It has to be authentic and being true to yourself. But you made the statement. You said, "I'm not saying this is the healthiest way to think." Tell me why.
I mean, I guess it's really the way I'm expressing it, because I'm not a person that I feel like doesn't acknowledge things that I've been through, but I I do feel like I'm the type that I've spent a lot of time on the things that I've been through. I've learned as much as I could from them, and I've forgiven myself for those things. So a lot of time now, there's no more energy for me to put into it. I just feel like I need to focus the energy somewhere else. And I think that could be viewed as don't ask, don't tell. Like, you don't want to think about it because you don't want to go there. But from my perspective, it's more like I've been there my whole life. Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing for me back there
Mm-hmm.
in a way. So I think that could be viewed as sometimes as like, oh, he don't want to talk about it. But all the lessons I've already taken, so I have them with me now. It's just I don't have to, reference them anymore. Like,
Yeah.
any
I think
sense?
you said something big. You said, "I've forgiven myself." What was your forgiveness journey like?
That was long. That was long because, to be honest with you, my shooting, it was a family dispute.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went to prison, a big part of me not being able to take accountability was everyone was telling me I shouldn't be there. Everyone was like, I would have done anything for my family. I would have done the same thing. Even the COs, when they found out about my case, were like, "Man, I would have did it too."
Mm-hmm.
And in the beginning, I was like, I shouldn't be here,
Mm-hmm.
like, and then over time, I started realizing like, no, there was other ways. Um, you know, I would have had to swallow my pride in many ways, right? I could have did something different. I could have shot in the air. I could have yelled for help. I don't know. I could have done things that didn't involve me hurting somebody. And it was then when I started realizing, okay, let's be accountable. And then I worked on forgiving. I tried to forgive him before I forgave myself,
Mm-hmm.
because I would feel like it was just necessary for that to happen before. I couldn't be like, oh, I'm at peace with everything I've done when I haven't given the forgiveness that I should for someone that I, did this to.
Mm-hmm.
So that took time. That took almost the whole 5 years, I would say. And then after I got out, I wasn't really at peace internally. Nobody knew, but it took years for me to realize, like, I can't tie my entire self-worth to this mistake.
Mm-hmm.
And we become a lot of different people over the course of our life,
Mm-hmm.
through lived experience. And that helped me. Taking accountability, owning my decisions, owning my mistakes, helped me control them and helped me learn from them. And I knew I couldn't do it without that. So yeah, took a it took probably like 8 years. I feel like eight,
Yeah,
9 years.
some people don't understand how big it is to forgive other people. I don't have to be your friend. I don't have to talk to you. I can choose to. I cannot. I can allow you to be a part of my life as big or as small as I want, right? But the forgiveness journey, it's not about them. I remember me as angry Kim, and it was horrible. Always being that angry, always being that out of control,
Hmm.
that like one thing that could just set me off to the point where I would completely lose myself. Sometimes not even remembering what what I did.
Yeah,
It is such a crazy way to live, and the consequences are so steep. Like, imagine losing yourself several times a day, a week, a month, a year, to the point where you are unrecognizable to you because of an outside source.
hmm,
And for me, that was what lack of forgiveness did. Lack of forgiveness left me stagnant. And it's, I keep calling it a forgiveness journey because it is. And is, to me, it's much like um the cycle of grief. Sometimes you there, sometimes you not, sometimes you backslide, sometimes you
yeah,
don't. And it's something that you have to constantly work on. And it's no different for forgiving yourself. you know there are times where we can think about, oh damn, remember when that happened? Or don't bump into somebody that knew you when, right? And they
yeah,
get to telling stories
yeah,
and you
yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, right now,
They don't see you for 10 years. They're like, I know the real Kim.
yeah,
They see you
exactly.
like,
And
hold on, hold
it's
on.
yeah. And the truth is they don't know us, right? The truth
Yeah,
is that even down to family who sees us once in a while or whatever the case is, they don't really know us. And it's I remember when I first got on Facebook. I'm not one of those. I was leery for a little while, so I wasn't like in the first batch of people. Plus, I'm an exa, so I wasn't like up on Facebook. And I remember the hype I felt when it was like, give us your contacts and we'll find all the people who know you,
yeah, yeah,
right? Like that first get on, and people from junior high school and elementary school and people who I hadn't seen in 20, 30 years. And, you know, they start popping up. And at first, you're like, yeah, I know you. And you accept all the friend requests. And then they start telling stories. And I remember how dismantling that was for my personal
Hmm.
forgiveness journey. And it was because the Kim that they knew no longer existed. And they became constant reminders of hurt and pain
Yeah.
and everything that she was then. And I started deleting and deleting and deleting because at first I wasn't ready to face that, right? Like,
Mhm.
I couldn't get past the embarrassment, the hurt, the pain that reconnecting with those people was enough to even have the conversation. Now, yeah, you know, that was then, this is now, or I experienced this and you didn't know it, and that was why I was like that, or whatever the case was. I couldn't get past that. Um,
Makes perfect sense that you would feel that.
yeah, like I
Yeah.
couldn't see my way through that. How do you said who you were and what it led to was a family situation. So that means part of your core community knew that side of you. How did you get past that? How did you heal from that? And what did it look like for both sides?
Yeah, that was really difficult. So, you know, when I had ran away and I was doing everything I was doing, I protected my family the best I could from even knowing that. So, like, my mother hear that and she's like, how is that even possible? Like, I couldn't imagine him ever doing something like that. So they were very traumatized from it. Um, it didn't look good for a long time. Even, my sister went through a lot from it. And they were there for me all the years they came to visit me. Um, I tried to, again, the first 2.5 years, I was quite hardened. So I didn't think about it too much. I more tried to mitigate it, minimize it the best I could. Like, look, I'm safe. It's good. Don't worry. Everybody's okay. I, I'm coming home. And I kind of feel like when I did get out and things started going well, at least from a base level, that I was not in trouble, I started to realize, because my parents are older, um, and I think it started hitting me that a lot of time we start to focus on, I want to be up here in life so I can provide and do all these great things. I want to take my family on trips, or I want to be able to buy my mom this or my dad this, etc. And then I see them when the family gets together, and it's like, what can make them happier than that, right? Like, sometimes I had conversations with people where they're so focused on trying to achieve something that I'm trying to tell them, like, look, bro, your grandmother just wants to see all y'all at the house and to not be in trouble. You know the weight that's off her shoulders now, knowing that you don't sell drugs anymore, that you're not in prison or on parole. Like, she's at peak right now. You just being there at dinner. Like, a trip to Puerto Rico isn't gonna put her higher than that. So I tried to stay in that where I could and just build with them. It's crazy. You run away from them your whole life. And
Yep.
then when you get old, you just start, where can I get time with them?
Right.
It's like I was running from them forever. And I've forgiven myself for that, but that was a long one too. That I'm like, damn, like I just left for 15 years. Like, what was I doing?
Yeah.
Um, so I kind of feel like everybody's okay now that it's been this long. They've, you know, they supported me sharing and doing what I'm doing, and they're proud of me. But yeah, we're okay now. But again, that's another long one. That's a long walk, and I'm
You know,
really thankful to be
you
able to
mentioned
have it.
it, I have four kids, and they're all adults. They're uh, 32, 27, 25, and almost 20. And what you said about just knowing that they are okay is the truth. Just knowing they're whole,
Mhm.
and there's no harm coming to them is like that's the bright spot. As a parent, as a grandparent, I'm a grandmother too. Just knowing, like everything is cool. Um, how can we support you?
I mean, supporting me is just following me my journey on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Um, that does a lot for me.
Drop your handles.
Everything is November, KNOW_VEMBER, and on Facebook at Joshua Holi.
Tell me, what does November mean?
So I was born in the month of November, but I spell it KNOW just because every month is a month to learn, to gain knowledge, to help other people gain knowledge. So I'm on a constant journey of learning. That's kind of where that originated.
That's dope. And how does someone contact you if they have a community they want you to speak at?
They can DM me. They can email me. My emails on all my social medias.
Okay,
I answer every DM, so it is me that answers them, and I read all of them. So if they want to contact me, they can hit me there. I will answer.
that's what's up. We'll talk about that again. We have about 14 minutes left, and I want to talk about gratitude.
Got it.
Um, One of the things that you are big on, and I've heard you talk about over and over and over again, is gratitude. What does gratitude mean to you?
It's a great question. Gratitude to me just means being aware and cognizant of what my position is, and understanding that I'm in a position where even me, I sometimes am just blown away that I'm here, and it just puts me in a state of I really need to enjoy and embrace and lean into to this role and where I am in life. I'm a huge believer in everything we think of helps guide our behavior. So not from like a fake it till you make it type standpoint, but I'm just really cognizant of where my energy is going. So even when I listen to music, for example, I'm not big on it just because it's someone else's words just filling my mind. When I run, I don't run with music,
Mm,
which a lot of people think is crazy because I'll do these ultra marathons, 50-mile runs with nothing. But people will say, look, I run and I listen to music because it distracts me. It helps me keep me occupied. And I'm like, you're missing the point. You know what I mean? Because then you're sitting with yourself, and science tells us that 90% of what we think, or 80% of what we think on a daily is negative, and 90% of what we think on the daily is repetitive. So we're already kind of set in this zone of negativity, which only begets more negativity. So I'm really really cognizant to take time, different points during the day. I'll even set a reminder on my phone. I'll go far as like putting my fiance and my stepdaughter on my lock screen, just so if I'm going to check something, boom, I see them. It gives me a good thought. So I'm big on just keeping that mind in that state because it's worked for me.
amen. Silence is loud.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
Loud. I learned how loud silence was when my father died, and I got into the do mode. So I was very distracted by traveling and helping others travel and obituaries and all of that stuff. And I remember coming home from his funeral and having sent my children to New York, and it was just me in the house by myself. And I realized how loud silence is. It can be haunting. And for those of us who are trying to master being with ourselves, what are some tips you have to that initial jarring of our own thoughts?
That is a great question because everybody thinks and feels differently. I think the way I started doing it was, I mean, I would self evaluate pretty constantly. I do it now, like in the evening. So, for example, I just ask myself three questions like, what did I do today? What did I do good or bad? And what can I try tomorrow? And I ensure I give myself grace for that. So, again, learning a hard part about being in silence is because it's you're with you, right? And do you like the person that comes out during that time? So the biggest thing is to learn about yourself. I think the very first thing you should probably be doing is just acknowledging what those feelings are. So to find out what the baseline is, what are we working with? Like, do
Name
you,
it and claim it.
yeah, and write it down. You could write it down. You can keep a little journal. Like, look, I was by myself on Monday for 3 hours. What were the top three things I was thinking about? Write those things down. Then it turns to why do I think I was thinking about those things? There should be a whole lot coming out. And it's that's with you, right? So like you don't got to share that with anybody.
Right.
You're collecting data on you, and then that'll turn into a pattern. You'll see certain things coming out more, and that should start to give you signals on where you need to focus. Do you need some healing? Do you need to, share something with someone? Do you need to pray more? Do you need, etc.? That self-talk is everything.
Mm-hmm. What does your negative self talk say to you, and how do you combat it?
My negative self-talk tells me I'm not gonna be shit. My negative self-talk tells me I'm gonna be failing at all this. It tells me I'm not gonna get any goal I set for myself, and I'm gonna end up being one of those dudes at the bar telling I coulda, woulda, shoulda stories. But I really look at my emotions as like a revolving line, a revolving queue of people. And it's only a matter of time before that line rotates and the people who are at the front take back over, who are normally the driven part of me, the ambitious part of me, the part that believes in me. And yeah, I get all the negative self talk. I'm really, really harsh on myself, but I do it because it doesn't produce bad results. Like I know my personal things that work for me to get me going and get me moving. So I'm really harsh on myself in that aspect, but it doesn't break me down. So I do it to an extent where I'm not gonna believe it, I guess, but it's enough that it's like, all right, let me get moving, let me get ahead of this.
The in PSN, I'm always talking about grace and being kind to yourself, and to be kind to yourself, and the grace. Kimberly doesn't like that answer, but I'm gonna let you make it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna let
I
you
know.
make
I felt you a couple
it
times. Like,
today.
hold on, why you do that? Yeah,
Today, but I'm sure you've heard my spiel
yeah, yeah.
on grace and you know grace and redemption. Like, I think that is the main idea of this conversation, is really um your glow up has been so that you can show up,
Amen.
and you're showing up. You've shown up, you continue to move up, and you continue to do it in community with and for other people. And again, I congratulate you on it.
I
I
appreciate you, and thank you
congratulate
for all the work you're doing. You're
you.
doing you're making power moves out here.
Thank
I'm
you.
blessed to know you, and I'm glad we connected,
Likewise.
especially through the network.
Likewise. I'm super proud of you. And if anybody listening or anybody watches the replay on this and they're in Arizona, someplace in the desert for 100 miles,
Come through. We'll be there October 31st. Yeah.
yeah, come through, make a sign for Josh, call him crazy. Make sure you got some water for him.
Yeah.
I learned more about racing than people who run marathons, I should say, not necessarily racing. And the whole defecation thing, like there's so many logistics
Yeah.
to running that long that if you like it, I love it, man.
I appreciate you.
That's all I can say about it. I'm gonna give you closing thoughts. Whoever's listening, somebody who needs to be reached right now, what is it that you want to say to them?
Yeah, I would tell anyone who's listening that most of the time when you see someone who's achieved something, it's the first thing you want to know is what were the steps. But I think you want to change that lens a little bit and think about who is the person that you have to become.
Mm.
So you got to become somebody different, because if we gave you all the information and you're still you, and you feel stuck, you're still going to be there. So I would really start with something small, and the smallest thing you could think of. I don't care if it's one push up a day for 10 days. Prove something to yourself that when you say something, you do it. And it could be as small as that. It could be not cursing after from 6 to 7 p.m.
Mm.
Achieve a promise to yourself and continue to stack on that. And that will build into something great over time.
Yeah, definitely. And if you are an example of greatness, then I know what you just said is definitely true.
Appreciate you.
Proud of you, Josh.
Proud of you too, Kim. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for watching, for your comments and contributing. Like, repost, share. Um, Send this to a friend. Send it to somebody who needs to hear this message. Join us next time on the Be Empowered movement. Have a great night.